Hey guys, so today we're going to look at Mark chapter 2, verses 13 through 17, and we're going to talk about Jesus' reputation and specifically why Jesus was okay with ruining his own reputation. You see, we all have a reputation, and your reputation is probably different with different people because people have different values. So any decision you make in life might improve your reputation with some people and at the same time ruin your reputation with others. Um, there's a saying that goes, you can please some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot please all of the people all of the time. So my question for you today is, whose opinion drives your actions? When you make a decision in life and you consider what people will think of you, whose thought, whose opinion controls the decision that you make? So let's look at verses 13 through 14 to start. Mark 2:13 through 14 says, He went out again beside the sea, and all the crowd was coming to him, and he was teaching them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax booth. And he said to him, Follow me. And he rose and followed him. So Jesus calls a new disciple named Levi, who the Bible also says is named Matthew. Levi was a tax collector. Tax collectors did not have the best reputation in this time, in this place specifically. From the Jewish perspective, these were Jews who had betrayed the Jewish people. They had sided with Rome. They were taking money in the form of taxes, taking money from the Jewish people and giving it to the Roman Empire. Imagine for a second that you had a friend who decided to befriend your worst enemy. How would you feel about that friend? Many times we would feel betrayed by that. And that's exactly how the Jews viewed the tax collectors in this time. Notice that just like the four fishermen that Jesus has already called, Levi left behind everything to follow Jesus. He left his job behind. If he had family, left his family behind. And Levi followed Jesus right away. Let's look at the next couple verses. Verses 15 through 16, says, As he reclined at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. And the scribes of the Pharisees, when they saw that he was eating with sinners and tax collectors, said to his disciples, Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners? So Jesus goes to Levi's house. And notice in these two verses, there are two groups of people in this story. First, there are those who are following Jesus. And did you notice what sort of people the Bible describes them as? It says they were tax collectors and they were sinners. In other words, the people who were following Jesus were people who were looked down upon by society. Second, there were religious teachers there, scribes and Pharisees. These were people who were respected in the community for not only how they lived their lives, but also their knowledge of Scripture and how they taught Scripture. So there are two groups here, one with good reputations and one with bad reputations. And the religious leaders, these religious teachers in verse 16, they express that they don't approve of Jesus eating with tax collectors and sinners. You got to consider that Jesus is becoming famous as a great teacher of Scripture. And so a lot of people respect him, but these religious teachers are calling that into question. If Jesus is really the great teacher and authoritative teacher that people are making him out to be, why would he be spending time with people who have bad reputations? If you were in Jesus' place, which group would you try to please? Would you try to please those who had a good reputation or those with a bad reputation? Consider that in your real life because you're faced with that decision often. There are many people that you will try to please in life that don't have a good reputation. There are many people that you will try to please in life that have a good reputation. And if you were in Jesus' place, which group would you try to please? After all, just like Jesus, your reputation could be in jeopardy based on your decision. Let's look at the last verse, in verse 17, where Jesus responds to their questions. It says, When Jesus heard it, he said to them, Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. You see, Jesus' decision was not based at all on what other people thought. It wasn't based on his reputation. Jesus' decision was based on love. The truth is, sinners need God's forgiveness. So Jesus sought out sinners. And it's important to recognize here, Jesus didn't sacrifice his reputation out of selfishness. You know, if we try to build relationships and build community with people that have a bad reputation simply because we enjoy their company, if that's the people we're seeking out of just fulfilling something within us, that's not what Jesus did. Jesus saw that these people had a need. They needed forgiveness, and he was driven by compassion for their need. God knew that I needed spiritual healing. He knew that I was spiritually sick and spiritually dead. And he cared enough for me that he was willing to sacrifice his son. Who do you know that needs God's love and forgiveness? Eat with them, care for them, share the gospel with them.